joint lab for future cities, which is a platform in Hong Kong focusing on sustainability and, very importantly, resilience, which came to the fore during COVID. But that's not the purpose of this platform. It's responsible construction and so on. And she has clearly all the credentials, not only of a master planner, but really the plumbing, for lack of a better word, that goes into making a city work. And in the parlance of today's webinar, what makes a smart city tick? I'm going to hand the floor over to Rosana, who will present our core theme, which is action-driven. We will then have a short presentation by Gustavo, and after that a panel discussion. But before I kick off, there are two things that come to mind, which I wanted to, some hard statistics and facts that we should all recognize. 2/3 of mankind inhabit cities, and the built environment, and I'm just talking about the built environment, accounts for 1/3 of greenhouse gases. Typically, you see a range of 33 to 35% from the built environment. But if you start to add waste and so on, we're getting to the 50% level. So cities are powerhouses of the economy, but on the other hand, they are also the source of greenhouse gas emission. And really the quest for net zero is not complete without a comprehensive ESG strategy in a city. The two main pollutants in cities are fine particle pollution and nitrogen NO2. So these are the main things that we have to deal with, and the culprits are found in power consumption, in buildings, in construction, and also transportation. And I just want to add that I've been grappling with the definition of ESG in terms of real world implementation. And I think that in a smart city today, you'll find that the common thread is found in this definition. So Singapore envisions to drive its smart city ambitions through this vision statement. In fact, this vision, and I've actually copied what the government has declared in its Smart Nation program. It's transforming Singapore through technology. So the vision is a digital-first Singapore where there are three core areas: digital government, digital economy, and digital society, with a view to harnessing technology, digitalization in health, in transport, urban living, government, and businesses. It's very much tech-driven. At the same time, Hong Kong has unveiled its own program. I think in the next slide, Barbara, you will have. Well, I don't see the next slide, but in any case, Hong Kong envisions to improve its quality of living, and I'm going to read out the government statement from Hong Kong, what defines their vision of a smart city. I think it's rather important to articulate this. The first point is to make people happier, healthier, smarter, and more prosperous, and the city greener, cleaner, more livable, sustainable, resilient, and competitive. to enable business to capitalize on Hong Kong's renowned business-friendly environment to foster innovation and transform the city into a living laboratory and test bed for development. I like that approach. To provide better care for the elderly and youth and foster a stronger sense of community, to make the business, people and government more digitally enabled and tech savvy. And I like this final one, to consume fewer resources and make Hong Kong more environmentally friendly while maintaining its vibrancy, efficiency, and livability. And the vision is to embrace innovation and technology to build a world-famed smart Hong Kong, characterized by a strong economy and high quality of living. So with that, I'd like to hand the floor over to Rosana. Rosana, the floor, digital space is yours.
Thank you very much, Sang. Thank you. First of all, thank you for your kind invitation. Not only yourself, but also I'd like to thank Swiss Asian Chamber of Commerce. Allow me to be here, not to mention learn from all of you, as well as sharing our experiences with you. I absolutely feel privileged to have a chance and to meet all of you virtually. By the way, all of you are welcome to come to Hong Kong. We are actually promoting Hong Kong right now, our Hong Kong government. We call it Hello Hong Kong. Yesterday, we're celebrating the very first day with mask off. So we don't have to wear a mask anymore. So it's easier for us to communicate and express our feelings and also our context, really. So in that regard, I welcome you to Hong Kong. Today, thanks, the Chambers given us a chance to talk about not only charter city, smart city, but also in terms of the driver, put it into actionable items.
We
about what we've been doing and see whether we are in tune. Can you hear us? Hello, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah. Can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh, by the way, if you can't hear us anytime, just let us know. So today, I'd very much like to share with you of our group, the latest development. By the way, allow me to introduce my group. Basically, Yau Lee started by my father in 1958. We went publicly listed in 1991. So we have to follow all the rules and all the books and what have you. We have to do it anyway. And from one construction company, we transform ourselves into what we call a green integrated corporation. Now we have over 80 odd companies within our group. So from as a developer to a contractor, modular manufacturer, service provider, those are all our business domain. And in particular, the last, I would say, 6 or 7 years ago, I started my own venture fund, which Sang's been sharing that with you. It's called Ophelia Ventures. And we're actually stationed in Science Park. And Science Park is basically also our government-funded location. It's all doing innovation and technology. We have over 13,000 people, over 900 all startup company based in Science Park with the Golden Egg. It's also built by my company as well. And we moved in there to start our venture. We concentrated in smart city technologies. We're focusing into 4 pillars: transformation, environmental care, and all these are what we call our heart and soul core technology to enhance our businesses and enhance our vision to build or blend into a smart city. And besides that, we also have, I'm also sitting on the board of Cyberport. Again, Cyberport is the other location funded by our Hong Kong government, doing a lot of R&Ds. And we have over, for instance, 600 startups doing fintech in Hong Kong. 400 of them is actually based in Cyberport. And we're also building another extension on what we call Phase 5. So what we're trying to do is really welcome all of you from Europe, in Asia, to Hong Kong, not only to help us to invest, or we can invest onto you from a government's perspective, or from a personal perspective, as well as a company. I welcome you all. Now, in terms of ESG, We've been doing that for a while. But when we say, are we forced to do it? Of course we are, because being a listed company, we have to follow our stock exchange rules. So I summarize the highlight.
Bluetooth mode.
Hello? Can you hear us?
Yeah, can hear you.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, good. And this is I summarize the highlight of what we have to do as a public listed company in Hong Kong. We have to follow the reporting guideline that our stock exchange asks us to do. So basically from our group, you can see we compile, not only we fulfill and compile all the standard, we also achieve all 100% KPIs, except one item, which is the product responsibility, and that 40% of them are not compiled applicable to our businesses, and that's the reason why we are not fulfilling 100%. Other than that, we do it all. But when we ask, is that really worth doing it? Then the answer I'm going to share with you throughout this whole presentation. Now for us, I'm primarily a contractor by training, engineer by blood, and our DNA from my father to our family. I'm the second generation, help run this family business. We have one thing in common is innovation and technology, and also sustainability. Everything we try to do as a corporation, we want to look into the fine details to make it sustainable. Now that is very easy to say, but it's really hard to do. Now this picture here, I captured the latest project that we finished. So it's all proven. But we have one common goal. Is what we're trying to achieve here is the common good that we want to do and build for our society. Now, on the left-hand side, that is actually the longest steel bridge that we built for our Hong Kong citizens to enjoy in this neighborhood, which you can see is about 145 meters steel structure. Again, we don't have to use a column. We use what we call a lowering method to build this bridge. It only took us one night. We completed the whole thing. Obviously, we have like months and months of preparation to actually fabricate it in a modular manner, and then use the latest technology to make sure that we actually fulfill the tolerance and so on and so forth with the submission. Now, not only this bridge is amazing, it's the longest footbridge in Hong Kong, but also with this particular project, we had to do 5 other bridges too. And those are concrete bridges as well as steel bridges. Now, that is very important because for us, building a residential, doesn't matter it's private or public or semi-public, those are actually providing a space for a Hong Kong citizen to enjoy to live. Hong Kong is very small. Land is scarcity. Everything is very expensive here. And that's the reason why we have to utilize our space. After we build an estate, what we're trying to do is provide commercial, school, kindergarten, shopping center, as well as lane bridges to enhance the connectivity. Now, the enhanced connectivity, we also look into, from a smart cities manner, we have to look into the inclusiveness. So in other words, mother with buggy, as well as armchair, disabled people, we look after them as well. So we try to be as green and as sustainable as possible. And the second picture here is something that we are really proud of. That's the latest library that we built. As you can see, the design is really friendly. All walks of life can actually enjoy the spatial, and the staircase can act as a common exchange of news, tons of books there, and the lighting and so on and so forth is immaculate. And that is only a public library. Everyone can enjoy it. The grassroots people, as well as to millionaire, we all can enjoy the same space. So we are really proud of the common usage that we provide as a corporation. And on the right-hand side, that is the #1 proton hospital in Hong Kong. We finished building that for the most prestigious private hospital owner of a client of ours. And they are very particular because they're serving the top tiers of customers in Hong Kong and China. And we don't have a proton hospital ever in Hong Kong. We finished building that. Not only that, 30-meter deep basement to put this proton machine, as well as putting all these different chambers for the different treatment as well. Together, they actually renovated another block for the recovery for the patient. And that's the reason why just recently we finished a link bridge between these two hospitals as well. Those, for us, it's not only just a project, it's very much we doing the common good for a community. That is very important to our group. Now in Hong Kong, I know we all from a different country. That's the reason why I try to share our experiences and the local data with you, besides from a macro perspective. In Hong Kong, when we look at the carbon emission sort of contribution, the worst to industry is something that I'm tackling in right now, all my core businesses. The number one sort of killer is actually building. Building environment contributed to more than 60% of carbon emission in Hong Kong. And that's the reason why we're working at it. And the other sector is transport that contributed 90% of carbon emission. And that's the reason why for our group, not only those are our bread and butter, our core businesses, but also is something that we want to enhance. Again, I welcome all of you to join hands with us. If you have a good solution, by all means, we'd love to have global partnership and enhance not only what you do, but also of what we do as well. Just like the caption, the change we want to make. Now, for us, from CSR to ESG, we've been doing that as compliance. But also, the last couple of years, we've been heavily concentrating. I personally set up a task force just to study SDGs, because as we all know, SDGs got 70 goals. That 70 goals is awfully hard to grasp, to understand, not to mention to apply into our businesses. And because we are publicly listed, whatever we do, we have to look into our stakeholders, our shareholders, and all these financial return as well as my own people. However, we believe if we work in terms of enhancing the ESG, but once we try to approaching SDGs, we realize we're more focused and we're selecting the job of what we want as well, even though we have to bid for it. It's very competitive. But then again, if we concentrate to the job that we want to do and get, we believe the outcome is actually better, funny enough. But again, that creates extra hard work, I have to say. But that is our cooperation, is our group's focus. So I'll just give you a highlight of the 70 goals that we have from SDGs. And every single one of them, we have projects we started and initiated in terms of getting that goal done. For instance, just to mention one or two with you all. The number one is what we call to end poverty. And again, to give different forms and different ways. So what we're trying to do is start by walking the talk. How do we end poverty in Hong Kong? Now, believe it or not, we have something called subdivided flat in Hong Kong, which is a huge social issue for Hong Kong, in particular, the front-end grassroots citizen. They live in a subdivided flat, a very small unit, but they have tons of family living in it. The health issues is not that sort of up to standard, and it's very crowded. So what we're trying to do is build what we call traditional transitional housing. It's basically government funded. They're not lavish, it's just very adequate. However, they will have a decency to have a bedroom and a living room with their own private bathroom and kitchen as well. And we try to build that very, very fast. And we achieve that the most within our group. So for us, not only we're helping a community, we're really helping the poorest people in Hong Kong in that manner. So this is how we tackle SDG in our group. Give another highlight. When it comes to SDG, for instance, number 9, the build resilience and infrastructure. Now with that, we try to cater with my venture fund. We invest heavily into AI and robotic, which I will show example in a minute, in terms of applying into smart city manner, as well as my core business is construction. Now with those innovation items we push, the majority of them, I have to say, we haven't made profit yet. But however, that really contributed to our community as well as my core businesses. And that is generated a lot of news and support. And again, I show you the outcome are rather fruitful. So the number one topic I would like to share very quickly is environment. So we try to help our government to tackle what we call a carbon neutral in Hong Kong by 2030. I'm going to highlight 3 areas and 3 particular projects that I actually completed. So it's actually proven technology and proven result in terms of sustainability. The first one I want to talk about is the green building hotel that we achieved and built over a decade ago, 10 years ago. The second one I want to share with you as a developer, we finished again a residential project, commercial. And that is the very first project that we became a smart city developer. And in this particular project, we promote smart living. And that's a way how we're going to promote and then put smart living, healthier living into our design and execution. And the third project I want to talk about is the very first project in the entire Hong Kong. We use what we call MIC technology. MIC stands for Modular Integrated Construction, meaning just like Lego blocks. Is using precast technology, but we combined it into fullest. Basically, we make it as a modular boxes, and those boxes have a structural wall included, sanitary fitting included, and furniture included, everything built in my China plant, transported in Hong Kong, bunkered up, again, faster cycle time, better quality as well. I'm going to talk about this very quickly with you all. My hotel is the greenest high-rise building in the world because those are all proven data. We completed 3 higher certification in terms of environmental friendly certification. We achieved what we call in US LEED platinum. In Singapore, we call it Green Mark. We got a platinum. In Hong Kong, we call it Hong Kong Beam Plus. We achieved platinum. In China, what we call is 3 stars. We achieved 3 stars together with more than 15 awards, commercial related as well. Now, with this particular project, the end result was we managed to save 58.5% of energy in comparison to the average hotel industry in Hong Kong based on our government standard. And in terms of carbon emission reduction, 71%. In terms of dollar sign, we saved 2.2 million kilowatt of energy every year without fail. And that's equivalent to US dollars, which is $450,000 US every year, saving just like that. And the extra hard work and technology investment we put into this project, which is only the ROI return is 25% year on year. Now, at the moment, I was saying to Sang, and welcome to come to my new hotel. We're doing our facelift. At the moment, we're putting the hotel back to a drawing board. We're doing renovation right now. We're changing to a different model. Model is one thing, but what we're trying to do is to put the entire project from newly built. We achieved that now. Now from renovation, change to a new business model. So we want to take it into a higher level. Now, before that, I'll share with you some of the highlight what we're trying to do. But just by calculation, we can apply for what we call Hong Kong Beam Plus renovation. By calculation, we can actually achieve platinum as well. Now with that, at the beginning, our hotel is used rule-based to get the optimization, not linked through everything, only linked through 8 items together with 22 new implementation. But in 2017-18, we managed to collect enough data. We turned the hotel into AI. And with that, we managed to achieve another 5% of energy saving. So in other words, right now, our hotel can actually save 63.5% of energy. And again, with the extra more carbon emission saving as well as dollar sign as well. Those are all proven record. So what we're trying to do right now is, because we want to change a different brand. Now, at the moment, we can work with the Hilton Group. We're going to introduce this new Moto brand into our Asia Pacific. And we have this brand in US as well as Europe, but we don't have that in Asia Pacific as well as Greater China. That's the reason why we want to set an example and the green and sustainable example as well to our hotel. That's the reason why we're working very closely with the Hilton Group. So what we're trying to do here is from using our bay carcass and what we've done and re-engineering our hotel. This is the facade look we're trying to achieve. I have to say we haven't frozen the design yet, but what we're trying to do here is our hotel at the beginning is the very first hotel in the entire Hong Kong we use 5D beam to build. 5D beam means not only 3-dimensional space, we put it, we also, the 4th dimension is actually doing energy as well as planning equipment and neighbor force optimization. The 5th dimension is actually cost control. Everything is BIM literate. And again, we use digital twin to get everything doing from design to finish, to what we call the facility manager, to actually look into the data to operate our hotel, as well as doing what we call predictive measures when it comes to all my planning equipment. We have hundreds of sensors into our hotel because we have to achieve different ranking or certification to actually to cater for different needs. But at the moment, we try to condense and also learn by our own experiences to try to make the most effective manner. So we're going to condense about less than 100 sensors within our hotel, but we can do more than what we can do before. So this is very exciting for us. And also our government is promoting what we call digitalization in the entire Hong Kong. So we've been doing that for the past 20 years now. But what we're trying to do is consolidate what we've done and want to showcase with our community and actually walk the talk in our hotel. But because we are the owner of the hotel, so we can do a lot more than other people. I can call the shot basically this time. So we're going to do some super apps. And we're going to have a small command theater within our operation so we can see not only our buildings, but the buildings that we've been doing from a smart city manner and also smart mobility as well. The other project I want to share with you is the residential project we've finished now. With this project, we use what we call IPD, Integrated Project Delivery Approach. Everything is virtual design construction. Before we build, everything is sorted out with the clash analysis, so on and so forth, as well as the dollar signs balance in the BIM model. And then we put that information into the city information modeling so we can see our building in comparison to a neighborhood. From the solar penetration to the street lighting in comparison to our wayfinding, as well as my landscape, we can put a fine balance to fine tune it because we don't need to be lavish. The more you put in, the more sort of operational costs you need to pay. And the people who buy my units have to pay for the tax as well as the fees each month. So we try to achieve the fine balance here. And we believe we've done that. Also proudly, together with my partner, URA, which is a local semi-quasi government-funded bodies to turn Hong Kong older neighborhood into smarter neighborhood. And again, this location of this project is a very old neighborhood. We're going to turn it into a young and funky first-time buyer kind of neighborhood we're trying to create. And being a smart city developer, so what we're trying to do is I invite my entire client as well as my own group with architect, consultant, so on and so forth. We managed to hold only 6 meetings, and together with 37 working days, we managed to frozen the design, and from generating the design from the BIM model to submit it to our Hong Kong government, in particular the building department, to grant the license to build. It broke my own record, only 7 working days, 37 working days. The reason why we could do that is all these related software, and we have our own platform to integrate the software. For instance, we use different software to do our BIM model, as well as doing a downstream manufacturing as well. Everything is BIM literate, together with the laser scanning at the beginning, but now we use robotic laser scanning to save our engineers time. And we use like another product, the software, 5D BIM project software to enhance the optimization and time and cost, and put it into a BIM viewer. So not BIM literate people within our team can actually see and comment onto the details. We can just hold a tablet on the construction site and then make decision then and there. Information can share with my entire project team, my government included. And we have a dashboard so that people can see everything in real-time manner. And that actually how we build this particular residential project. Now, and again, we put what we call the digital experience, not just for our government, for my first-time buyer to experience that. In Hong Kong, by law, we can pre-sell our unit. So you can actually get your cash back quickly as well. I thank my government for that. So everything you've done for all this submission, we follow by the procedures and policy in Hong Kong. So we pre-sell our unit. But this time we're different. We give our potential buyers a different feelings before we actually accommodate and show them the show flat, physically show flat, but also we provide them, once they agree to put a deposit down to buy the unit, they will receive a free beam feel, just like what you're seeing here. They can feel the unit that they're going to purchase. They can have the two-dimensional measurement, three-dimensional measurements. Everything is all the information that they need, they have it. And those are proven details as well. And then they can start planning. They have about 4 to 6 months before our flat handed over to the actual buyer. They can start thinking about the interior. They can think about ordering the furniture, so on and so forth. And this is never heard of in Hong Kong. So my partner, URA, so welcome that. They're so thrilled to have this technology to help to sell the unit. And the director from URA actually been playing this viewer for half an hour without leaving my showroom. So it's really a new experience, not just for the first-time buyer, but for my partner as well within our industry. Now, again, this is all past tense now because we sold all the unit. And this is, if you walk into my show flat right now at that time, you'll be able to see the 3D model just like that in a holographic way, as well as from a big screen, as well as a physical model as well, with the compliance that we have to fulfill, that we need to do by law. But also within the showroom, you'll be able to see the two areas that we try to demonstrate that other people don't have, and we design for it. Is that within this particular project, it's not for 5 stars, sort of a very wealthy people to enjoy. It's really for the first-time buyer, for like a newlywed. So what we're trying to say is a smaller unit, a few million Hong Kong dollars, you get a unit. But because of that, they're very health conscious, and also they don't have time to liaise with their hubbies or their other halves or the babies and the children. So what we're trying to do is we have to provide a clubhouse, because this is the norm that in Hong Kong. But within our clubhouse, the design is not lavish. It's not 5-star, we're putting gold metals into it, not far from it. Our clubhouse is very down to earth, but very healthy. We have 2 stories of open space, as you can see the model. So when you come back 24/7, you can go jogging with your other half. And on the path, you can see the calorie you burn from an adult as well as a child. And also we managed to squeeze a space with an external lift. So the disabled armchair people as well as mother can enjoy these 2 levels of outdoor space through a buggy and wheelchair. Now those are with extra cost, and you need to squeeze the space to do it. However, to me personally as a developer, I think it's worth it, because that set the difference between a dollar signs conscious developer as well as us looking into social good, looking into the common good that we try to provide for a large amount of our local people. That's how we think. That's how we build. Now, I'm going to shift a little bit to social. As we know, in Hong Kong, we have over 7 million people living in a very crowded space. Even though we have a lot of outdoor space, islands, swimming area, countryside to enjoy. But however, in our CBD area, it's very condensed, or living in a high-rise jungle. How do we tackle that? So for us, it's our responsibility to build faster, better, and also we have an aging population. In particular, in construction, we only have just over 300,000 workers, and over 45% of them at age 52 and above. In other words, it's really aging workforce. So what we're trying to do is promoted by our last government, Mrs. Carrie Lam, from our last chief executive. She lead Hong Kong in station way, as well as promoting all this modular construction. And because of that, they give us a lot of innovation ideas and items and force the government to do that, as well as big corporation. So for us, very luckily, we finished this very first project. As you can see the picture, that was the evening that we managed to install the very last modular box, which is 3,710 26 box, and this box module actually casts into the space you've seen in there. We have invited our our financial secretary, Mr. Paul Chen, to come and witness the entire thing. Why our FS came down to our side? Because he is so supportive, not only financially support this movement. The movement is our government's trying to support what we call Industrial 4.0 as well as Construction 2.0, this movement to digitalize our industry as well as mechanicalize our industry. From a very old industry, old-fashioned industry, to a high-tech construction industry. So he's really trying to walk the talk as well. So he's supporting the Bureau, and he heard about our project, and he said, hang on here, you have to wait for me, I want to witness that. So I thank him for the support. So at the end, we managed to finish this project, not only on time, a lot faster. And according to our chief executive, from her words, we basically achieved 10 months faster than our original electrical approval date. And the other important thing, and then proudly I have to thank my own team for, is that we proudly say that for that particular project, as well as the other 2.5 social projects, that transitional housing that we've done, altogether as a group, we managed to finish up to date 4,346 MIC modulars. Every single one of them are just in time. Very hard to do, but we achieved that. And I will explain to you why that is important. That is the fundamental essence of lean construction, again, to a lean corporation. From the hardcore data, we managed on average for that 3.5 projects, we managed to decrease faster than 40% of construction time. We managed to reduce 60% of manpower, and we really, really proud to say 45% of construction waste are eliminated, as well as the air pollution are down to 25% and enhance our ESG. So I'm so proud of my team. I'm so thankful for the project, even though it's extremely difficult. But as you can see, the end result is we built 5 blocks, 16, 70-story high. The end user is our Hong Kong, the very hardcore firemen. Is their headquarters. They live in this residence, but they have to train up, again, very hard work to support our community, fight for our safety every day in Hong Kong. Those are the residents they enjoy. And also at the same time, we build the outdoor space for the children to enjoy as well. So we managed to really achieve all that. So in other words, our end user, the firemen, are very pleased. We got a thank you letter from them as well. So we are so touched by the whole project. And again, the other essence of how we could achieve that is because of Beanie. Beanie is something that we designed it and built ourselves. I used 2 of my subsidiaries, one of my startup company, and used 4 months to build this platform, and then we enhance it to 6.0 right now. So what Beanie does is, from 2-dimensional space data to 3-dimensional beam data, as well, we'll put the RFID chip into the modular act as the identity card for the module with all this quality control checking, as well as all the procedures being linked with blockchain, the most important ones. And then again, with the whole real-time logistic module and the actual checking the air quality of the driver, checking we have a sensor within the driving compartment to make sure that the wellness of the driver are increased. And then when the on-site sort of procedural, we call it a digital procedures, all built in with our platform. And the information with all the data we transfer to our city information modeling contacts. Everything is linked through what we call ISO 19650 as well. All these are double checking our tolerance, our quality through robotic laser scanning, everything in it. And proudly say with this platform is one of the very tough platform for my people to do. They hated it and hated it. But at the end, our decision are right, because with this platform, we managed to do it just in time. We've made lots of mistakes, because you would imagine all the boxes are made in a factory manner. If you actually transported the modular into Hong Kong construction site, if you realize there's something wrong with the bathtub, By the time you want to change it, you don't have time to order a new bathtub again, and the cost and manpower as well. It's defeated the whole purpose. So in other words, our thinking is whatever module they come out with our plan has to be immaculate. In order to do that, we have to be tough on our quality control. And that's the reason why we put binning onto it, and everything is blockchain. So we all know that it's an actual raw data, nobody can manipulate, and actually be video the whole thing. And you can take pictures, wordings, everything is in it. So everybody's know. By the way, I published a paper about that as well. You're very welcome to comment of what we do. I need your advice and extra hard work to enhance what we do. Those are the highlight with the binning module from 1.0 to 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, now to 6.0 manner, because we need to actually keep track onto what we do. Now, the dashboard you see is actually from the Housing Authority, which is the largest housing developer in Hong Kong. They are funded by Hong Kong government. Those are the dashboard that we designed for them in order for them to keep track onto our work as a contractor. So they can see the real-time monitoring, see the progress, see the logistics, see the BIM model, payment, so on and so forth. They know exactly what's going on. That's the reason why it's very tough for us. And the 5.0 module is called Tracy, meaning it's a short form for traceability and safety. We combine it with a robot that you've seen there is created in our Science Park office, link it with the sensor technology to my crane, together with the support, make sure that very heavy module, the heaviest module from my 10 tons to 33 tons, make sure when they lift it to the actual location for installation, the noise will say beep, 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 beep. All my workers have to be not to walk around in that area in order to eliminate any accident, preventing the accident happen. That's the preventive measures that we do. And all these recognition, facial recognition and AI, we put into the token of my worker. Sometimes we put it on the harness, sometimes we put it onto safety nets, as well as on the vest. And if they feel unwell and sick, all they have to do is press the emergency button, we will go and rescue them. And again, we are rather sophisticated. And if you don't have the permit to train, they're not even go near to that area. They're not allowed to build. So we stop our workers and doing the wrong thing. We're doing our best. Now, the other social area we want to share with you all, I'm going to go a bit quicker right now because of the time frame, is what we call the demandable transitional housing. We build for the grassroots people. Now, again, with these 2.5 projects, we achieved it within sort of 10 months. We've broken the record again. We set the example as well. Only 2 months for production, 2 months for the installation, and the rest of the time is doing submission. So again, using data like that, we try to talk to our government and say, look, we have to streamline our submissions because we're taking the bulk of our time, and that is not right. Builders should spend time building the project, not doing paperwork submission. So those are the hardcore raw data we can share with our government to change it slowly, bit by bit. And again, those pictures on the bottom, those are the family and the low income, and they have 2 children. One is 7, one is actually 5. The 5-year-old little boy, they never live in a unit that they have a desk. But once they move into this unit, they have 2 rooms, 1 living room and 1 bedroom, and they have a desk. And he is so thrilled that he could stop, standing still, have to jumping around. And the mother realized I'm the contractor, so kindly asked him to thank me. So I was so touched in the eyes. To me that morning, that Saturday morning, I helped them build to move into the unit. I have tears in my eyes. Those are the memorable moments that I feel this is more than financial return. This is the social good. This is the common good that we're trying to do and provide to our community. Again, this is a similar project. We've done it well, and the government have found an extra piece of land, so they give me another variation order to build another 70 own units, or within a shortened time frame. So more like 400 odd family, grassroots people can have a better environment to live. Those are the moments that we enjoy the most. Again, this particular one is the very first transitional housing, actually, we found location in the Hong Kong island to build. Now, this one's very special because this is the very first project that we achieved what we call the green loan from our bank. We are very proud of that, as well as we managed to get the green loan from what we call our CIC, is a construction institute in Hong Kong. They're supporting us to give us that because of the so good that we've done. And also at the same time, I want to share with everyone, as I mentioned to Sang not long ago, our Yau Lee group is the very first group in the entire world that we achieved and granted by HSBC headquarters England to have this revolving loan, this sustainable loan in 2018. I still remember I had to be interviewed from London for an hour. I've been talking non-stop, and my CFO and the teams do a lot of submission, and I've been personally interviewed by them in order to grant us that. So it shows you our group has been doing a lot in terms of sustainability and try to contributing to a better environment. And this is, again, another highlight that we awarded to build a lot faster to do. By the way, this is all run by the NGO as well. Now, this is something that we want to support our government to actually build a lot faster. Those are the hardcore figures. What our government tried to do is within these 5 years, we have to build over 30,000 what we call lightweight public housing for those grassroots people to build. We only have 2 years to build and 5 years for them to enjoy. As well as our current chief executive announced that we have to build 180,000 units within this 8 years. So it shows you this is the scale our industry have to tackle. So without technology and support, we won't be able to finish the job because we have an aging population in terms of management as well as our workers. Not to mention our government's trying to be smarter, as Sang read out the Smart City Blueprint 2.0. By the way, I'm the vice chairman of Smart City Consortium, and I chair Smart Living as well. We also wrote a blueprint for our government, the Innovative Technology Bureau, to enhance the blueprint. And one of the stuff that we try to promote and help our government to do is to find pockets of location of Hong Kong to build a better, smarter, healthier area. Northern Metropolis is another big planning from the government. They allocated location in the countryside of Hong Kong. We try to build 2.5 million residents, as well as opening 650,000 jobs. And the majority is our IT hub. So again, it's international. So I pledge to you all, come to Hong Kong and help us to achieve that. Not to mention, we want to build a land house tomorrow, which is something we want to achieve, a mimic island for the next generation to live. And that will be contributing 70% of our public housing, so on and so forth. Again, that's welcome international investment as well as support. Now I'm going to use the remaining of the time to talk about governance and how do we actualize that. So for us, in order to achieve what we do, we have to look into our entire supply chain. So we try to enhance our supply chain for more than a decade now. So this is the Maker Factory, my second factory in Waizhou that we built a while back now. And the size of our plant is about just like at least 25 football ground, underground included, and then we will have 1-story height too. And again, it's already full house. And the capacity we can churn out is 2,000 tons of concrete every day. And we have 41 production lines, from prefabricated a bathroom to a sink unit, to our structural wall, to a modular boxes. I just mentioned MIC. We can do that every day, nonstop, Monday to Saturday. And again, the reason why we want to do it all is because we can have a better control, in particular, our quality. Now, this is the highlight of the what we call Industrial 4.0 manner that we try to achieve for the last couple of years. Not only we're putting financial investment onto our own self, our group, our subsidiaries, but also the way we try to walk the talk is we localize our robotic and mechanism by our own engineers. The reason being is because other people doesn't quite understand what we do. So if I just go and buy a robotic line, that can't cater for our needs, because we have a different way of doing buildings, different way of doing structural steel, concrete, structural steel support or concrete support are totally different. When the module are made by concrete and the module made by steel are different, and therefore the way we do that is different. So we have to localize it to the way we need, and again, maximize the throughput of a production line, as well as to increase our productivities. And that's the reason that with concrete, as you all know, we have to capture that temperature control too. Everything's computerized. We have all this software, work with different stakeholders. Everything is actually scientifically controlled and manner in order to control the quality of our concrete product. And again, to maximize the time we have to do and move on the next steps. And again, this is something that I'm very proud of. This is the actual autonomous concrete mix user that developed the whole idea in my science park office, as well as my team in my plant. What we try to do is, you can see the wheels. That is the mechanical wheel that we can walk straight and go horizontal and vertical as well. And we can do it autonomously, and it's electrical. So in other words, I'm not produce any carbon emission. And that can transport from my concrete, from my batching plant to the actual production line. And again, save the forklift, save the actual driver as well as the time. And the thing is without fail as well. Those how we meant by increase on the productivity and decrease on the manpower. Now, the reason why we could do that is about my Ophelia Ventures. One of my startups is called Urban System. It's the most famous one right now. The reason being is because we spent, I would say, the past 6 years to develop our autonomous vehicle. The vehicle you see now is my 4th generation of autonomous vehicle. And basically, not only this is electrical based, and it's catered for 8 people within this shuttle. And in comparison, my autonomous shuttle you see right now to the conventional shuttle in Hong Kong, we managed to save 87% of carbon emission, just like that. And we also can work with what we call vehicle to vehicle, a vehicle to all the Internet of Things, as well vehicle with the entire infrastructure. In other words, V2V, V2X, V2I, we solve all that. And again, we try to maximize the return by leveraging our technology. We have to give out the balance. Some of our sensors or LiDAR might not be the most immaculate one, because if you do to the top-notch one, sometimes it's very expensive. We try to build a fine balance. Oh, by the way, that's the golden age. That is, we build that as a construction company, as well as my office is actually there. Again, I welcome you to visit me. Thanks into my science park office. I welcome you all. And those are the video that we actually took place within the past a couple of years. We have to do different testing, commissioning under the transportation department before they can grant us the permits to run the vehicle. Even though my vehicle is level 5, meaning I don't need a driver, and I don't even have a driving wheel. However, by policy in Hong Kong right now, I still need to put a driver there, as well as he has to control the emergency button. If there's anything remotely happen, he or her responsibility is to stop the vehicle. And also, we're testing everything by, other vehicles buddy to our vehicle, with other testing with the people, as well as mimicking the paths and so on and so forth. Cyclists, we've done all that. It's pretty safe, I have to say. And it's fun to do things like that. But I have to say, from a startup perspective, and again, we make the enhancement proposal to our government because it's rather ridiculous to a sense that is, from a financial burden, is rather impossible, as well as the time frame. Now, in order to leverage our technology, we have 3 robotic lines. One is internal robotic, one is external robotic, one is heavy duty. Again, we apply it into the industry that we know best, which is the built environment. Now, the robot you're seeing right now is what we call the Mobi Inspect. We designed this robot for our water department, our government. These are actually the plant room for the water plant room in Hong Kong. But the government saying to us, look, Rosana, we have so many plants, we don't want to waste time, and they're rather remote. Can you make a robot for us to go and testing and commissioning those plant equipment? I said, well, we do our best. So we leverage our robot and our autonomous solution technology, and you can see we actually designed this particular for inspection, and then we can also laser scanning, doing the solar testing, as well as all the needs we compile with what they want, and then we develop this robot for them to actually use. And then after that, we try to commercialize this. This is how we work as a startup company. Oh, sorry, John. Now, this is the heavy duty. Those are the internal external robot, and these are the heavy duty robots supposed to move. What we've done is we use robot to spray paint the facade. We use robot to check the water testing. And again, with the COVID-19, sadly, we only use 28 days to fine-tune our external robot to help our government to check on the water piping and see whether we have a COVID-19, the viruses in them as well. It only took us 28 days in order to do that. And because we have 3 different strong teams to work together, as well as we try to promote robotic onto our construction site. What we've done is onto some of our pilot project in the construction site, we use a welding robot. Instead of using human welding, we use a robot to do the welding on construction site. We managed to achieve that, and the quality are really incredible. And the productivity is 437% increment, as well as the drill bot. We use a robot to drill onto the pavement cutting. Again, over nearly 190% of the productivity, and the quality are immaculate. Those are the stuff that we've been doing, and these, I have to say, we have funding from our government, which is an encouragement for us to do. And as Sam mentioned earlier, I have a foundation called Proceed Philosophy Foundation. It's by my own saving, I have to say. And I set up 2 labs. One is the Royal College of Art, which is my mother college. The picture there, the Dean of Architecture, Adrian, we have the same philosophy. So I set up a Future City lab there to study the spatial in terms of the English way of building it, in particular London, how we build housing in London. And then we use AI to look into the spatial as well as studying intergenerational living. How do we do that collectively? Whereas I also set up a Future City lab in our Hong Kong U, and under 3 departments, the civil engineering, EEE, as well as my geography department, 2 faculty. So what we're trying to do, again, to study future city, but our edge is looking to climate change, the resiliency and the coastal rising and so on and so forth, and also health. Those are the focusing area. Again, at the moment, we're trying to blend into 2 research study now. So we want to do some collaboration as well. The result, we want to share that globally to speed up the social movement globally. So what we're trying to do here is using all our collective data to put it into AI to, again, to have a better usage for people globally, as well in Switzerland, in Asian country too. We're very happy to share. And again, I'm very happy to open up, to invest into us so we can help flourish the whole thing earlier. So my takeaway and also the closing of my sharing today or this morning to you is, there's a Chinese saying in philosophy, because in particular, Neo-Confucianism, we're promoting one thing called unity of nature and humanity. So I personally believe in that. I believe if we do this unity with nature and humanity in a good manner and achieve the maximum output for the majority of people, that will be the ultimate goal for us. So in other words, I suss out it as my personal goal is to achieve the social good for the project that we do, my venture fund, as well as pushing this into my corporation, Yau Lee. Because what we're trying to do here is to promote all the goodness and to the majority of people from our neighborhood to our cities, to our partners, to our country, as well as the globe. That is the vision we help build in a better way, and also not just ourselves, to collaborate freely with everyone. We listen to other people, we cater and customize and localize for other people usage as well. And I welcome your advice, your investment, as well as collaboration. And I believe if we could do this right, properly, even though as a public listed perspective, I believe the outcome for the shareholders and our stakeholder will be profitable. Again, ultimately, the greater goods for our community will be better. And that is the sharing that I have this morning and this afternoon for all of us. And again, the stuff that we do personally, it's not for myself, it's really for the next few generations, my son, my grandson, my grandchildren to enjoy. That's how I see it, that's how I believe it. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosana, for that highly valuable insight. We really lack examples, real life examples in ESG. I'm going to turn on to our next speaker. We will have a very short presentation by Gustavo. Actually, he will explain what exactly the technology that's available today is what is going to happen in terms of directing the applications towards smart city. By way of introduction, Gustavo is the founder of Stratosphere. His background is mechanical engineering, but he has a master's degree in structural engineering from Oporto University and a PhD in polymer science. He also lectures as well and has been a researcher, internationally renowned researcher in aerospace and the applications of structures, materials, and systems development. He is going to provide a very quick overview on, if you like, the core of Stratosphere. But very importantly, as you saw in Rosana's presentation earlier, data is key. And I'm not going to explain that better than someone who really deals with data all the time. Over to you, Gustavo.
Okay, thank you very much, Sang, for your kind words. Thank you very much also to the chamber for this invitation to be here and to present a little bit of our work, and also thanks to Barbara for this amazing presentation. So having a little overview about what are the main technologies that are coming from the technological scene here across the world, really, but more between Europe and the United States, which are the ones that I know better. We are Stratosphere is closely focused on an overview of systems and implementing systems that we call cyber physical systems. Okay, so this is really not an old term. It's something that has come from the last 10 years or so, but in fact is a very good definition of what type of systems we are implementing, and in fact how they are going towards the future. So typically when we speak about cyber physical, we are talking about the blend of sensors and or actuators and all the electronics that needs to control those sensors and actuators, and on top of that, all the analytics that can be implemented by AI tools or other types of control and command and control tools that will enable a system to interact with more complex systems, and in the end, to provide meaningful information to the users, to the maintainers, to everyone that has an interaction with the system that we are looking at. Okay. Cyber physical is also a way to look at the problems. This stems from the typical systems engineering approach that has been broadly across almost every industry, but very strongly in the aerospace where we act strongly. So when we complexify everything, we need to have a layered approach to validate everything that we implement, and in the end to have a meaningful and workable system that can provide the right responses that we need to do. Also, cyberphysical is thought as a system that can evolve. We can add features and take out some features without putting too much in cause, and that will be an important aspect when we are scaling up to a city size or to a very big building size, or even a very big fleet of aircrafts, or a set of assets that are under management. Okay. In fact, this is still in its infancy. We are one of the companies that we are implementing this from the last 10 years. Some of the things that are in the infancy is also related with interaction with sensors and electronics, with components and assets that will evolve a lot. And also what is in the infancy most of the time, growing fast, is all the IE and machine learning infrastructure to be able to interpret and analyze the huge amount of data that normally these systems can generate. So the new markets that will have a strong evolution shortly will be smart cities, which is the topic of today's event, and also space in several areas. I will show some examples in a few seconds. Smart cities, mainly for evaluating infrastructures, okay? Looking at infrastructures that can be water infrastructure, structural infrastructure, things that need to be monitored closely for its criticality, and also a long-term approach to this, looking at the life cycle of a system that needs to be maintained, and needs to be maintained with normally with a budget that should be controlled, and that will be very helpful. This type of technology will be very helpful for this type of individual. Okay. On the space side, as probably you all know on this panel, space is becoming more commercial. Okay. Traditionally, space is really an institutional business, relating companies with strong institutes or strong agencies. We see that this is becoming more flexible and more commercial, and there are a lot of opportunities either in upstream, meaning on the spacecraft level, and also on downstream, which will be the receptacle of a huge amount of data that can be used in a huge amount of applications, from agriculture to city planning to infrastructure monitoring. So there is a lot of potential in day-to-day commercial operations also in the space. So smart cities focus on critical assets such as telco towers, wind power, big infrastructure, small infrastructure, things that we need to care and to have a close look. Okay, and space mostly focus on digital twins, of satellites. Most of these satellites are Earth observations, so they are very focused on the environmental applications mainly. And we are really working, for example, as I mentioned in the beginning, working with MIT on small and nano satellites for this purpose. Okay, but what we mean about digital twins in this case? We mean two things. First, the cycle of launch of satellites is being shorter to take advantage of the technology that we are developing in Earth. So we are not now doing satellites to be in space for 30 years, as, for example, we have right now some telecommunication satellites that are in space in orbit for 25 years. So if we look backwards and we see the technology 25 years ago, we see that those satellites are a snapshot of the best technology that was 25 years, but it's not really at the level of our technology right now. So one of the things that is very important is to launch the satellites, to make the satellites do the job, and to take out the satellites in orbit, to clean the space, which is also a very big problem. So the cycle of launching and getting out satellites is very important. To be able to manage that in close detail, we need some kind of tools that will enable us to have a look on the status of the satellite, which is, as we all know, very difficult to go there and see. So the digital twin is the technology that is being put together, and we are as a company in the forefront of that, to be able to have a closer look on the status of the satellite when the satellite is in orbit, and to make management decisions on the status. For example, if the satellite needs to go down and to plan a new launch for substitute satellite, we can use this type of technology to be able to do better decisions and to be able to manage the satellite or a constellation like that. So this is really the mindset that the digital twins in space are there. For smart cities, the view here is the technology that we are talking. Most of the technology was developed for aeronautics application, most of them in the beginning. Connected with a view that was to diminish the cost of maintenance and the sustainment of fleets. Okay, in the United States, this is called CBM, condition-based management of the fleet. So, in fact, the maintenance of the system is more based on its condition rather on the specific hours of flight. So it's a combination of that. Most of this technology, SHM and other types of analytics were developed to focus on this type of problem, more on the defense side, less on commercial applications. But commercial applications of this in terms of passenger transportation and freight is already undergoing. We see that in the market. So the objective was that. But that technology has a good validation from that side, and on the other side, is very good to scale it to the right size for smart cities application. So, of course, we don't need probably certain kinds of sensors that are very expensive because of certain conditions of flight and certification. For that, we can use other type of sensorization and communication technology and hardware technology, but we can have the same results probably with a very good accuracy when related with the smart cities application. And in fact, we use that information to generate better logistics and better maintenance routines to be able to manage a very big city with 1,000 of assets that need to be attended and to be cared. Okay, so this is one of the visions that this type of technologies can bring to smart cities. So one quick example, okay, for example, we developed and deployed a system that is based on our technology and one of our base products that is called Prodia. For telco communications, this is focused on this new generation of 5G that is happening everywhere. Here on our side in Europe, most of the companies that are on this side of telco services, they are expanding the number of their towers, implementing 5G technology on those towers. I believe we all know that the density of the towers will need to increase to provide the 5G coverage more thoroughly around the geographies, because, well, there is some technical issues related with the the coverage of the 5G when compared with the 4G. So typically the towers will be more we'll need more towers to be able to cover. So we can use very normal technology for sensors that we can make measures of temperatures, strains, also accelerations, and sometimes anemometers. We can blend that with the data acquisition systems that take advantage of the infrastructures, the communication infrastructures of the towers themselves, and we can provide a lot of value to them, providing the status of the points of interest, predicting the status, how the tower is behaving. Also, we can provide health management information related with vibration of the tower. We can from the sensors analyze the status. We can analyze cumulative damage and predict the max usage and the time when you need to substitute the tower. And one of the things that is also interesting, which can be also an interesting data business stream, is we can provide the local analysis of wind speed and direction. And if we have a very big set of towers with this type of technology embedded, you have a very detailed coverage of the winds in each point, and that data can be very important for certain applications, so can also be a business stream. So this is an implementation example. What we are looking is the dashboard of that. There is several layers of technology around this. One is a very comprehensive and complex database that retrieves the data and also enables the calculation of the metrics that are important for this. And also there is what we call a processing center where the algorithms do their magic and do the number crunching to provide the data. So typically the operations of things like this is the system that is under management will get information from the towers with a period of 24 hours. Can be more, can be less. This is highly programmable. And we'll provide the status of a certain set of assets every day. And we'll also have that information stored into a database that will enable to do other things in the future, provided that we have very accurate data that comes from the towers and the sensors that are acquiring. Okay, so this is one view. And the other view that I was here trying to show is, okay, what we are doing with digital twins in space, okay? So things that typically a digital twin needs to have two main branches, one that is on the spacecraft to generate data, okay? What we are acquiring in small satellites is things that are related with payload status. So the mission sensors, they will have some kind of troubleshooting and information that they can provide in BAPs. Data from everything that is related with the ADCS, which is the controller of all the satellites, also from the energy power system. The satellite will have specific sensors for thermal and strain status. We also get information for inertial behavior. And we have a part that is processed on space, on the onboard computer. And typically, to be able to get this data down, we cannot have all the telemetry, bringing all the data down every time because of the orbits of the satellites. So typically, we'll have some ground stations across the orbit that will be able to get this data down. And that data then will appear from that ground station into an on-ground system that we call the digital twin processing that will analyze everything, focus on the status, on the health status of the satellite. So health status of the satellite in this case is how the satellite can perform its mission, okay, at the level that was intended, really. So we can analyze every system, and then we can also have some kind of reasoning about it to understand if the satellite is capable to do the mission that was initial thought. And this will be very, very important. So the information can be integrated in what we call the MPST, everything that is mission planning and scheduling. Normally in the control side, certain maneuvers of the satellite are scheduled, will take time, probably not in one orbit you can do the maneuver that you want. Even these satellites that are called LEO, in the sense that are low Earth orbit, so they are between 200 kilometers to 500 kilometers in height in terms of orbits. They still experience some drag of the lower levels of the atmosphere, and so after a few orbits they tend to go down on the orbit, and the orbit needs to be corrected. So these are the types of operations that are in the mission planning and mission operations. Typically, we have what we call a flight dynamics. It's something that will calculate the orbits, the planned orbit and the real orbit. We'll compare that. Data management tool. All this data will be in the right format, in the right database. Everything that is also SHM. So if the structure is behaving well and there is any problem, and also other things that are very, very important is the energy and power system working properly. This is one of the critical aspects of the satellite. If the energy and power is not working properly, probably the satellite will die soon. And on top of that, an integrated health management tool that will have a big picture of every health status of each component, and will give us an overview of the global health of the satellite, meaning practically, in practical terms, that if the satellite is in good shape and can continue to do the mission that was intended to do, or if we have to do other types of operations to be able to try to solve these problems. Okay, one of the global objectives of a digital twin, of course, is to have a view satellite per satellite. But of course, the global challenge here is to manage a huge amount of satellites, not just one satellite. Of course, everything needs to work per one satellite to be able to work for more than that. But normally, the health management will be focused on the management of several satellites, or a small constellation. Even a bigger constellation is possible to scale it down. So this is a very when we compare with the first slide, this is one of the advanced applications of a cyber physical system, okay, and has all the characteristics of a cyber physical system. And these systems are designed to be scalable, to be able to introduce several assets and take assets, and the system will be stable and workable, and also to adapt everything on the go. For example, if we need a new algorithm to analyze it, will not be difficult to integrate a new algorithm in the overall system. So the system is open enough to include other things, but is stable enough to maintain the basis and to be workable around a big amount of years across the even decades. So we can include new technology without degrading the work of the system itself. Okay, this is true for digital twins. Is also true for the SHM system that I presented in the last slide for telco applications. Okay, so in a brief, this is our presentation for today. Thank you very much, Seng. Okay, and thank you very much for all the everyone that is attending the talk. Okay, thank you very much.
illuminating. We actually have a time overrun. I don't know how much more time we actually have, because I just need to check. I think we have 15 or 10 minutes more. So I'm going to I've got a few questions that seem to be coming in. I wanted to ask Rosana. I was intrigued by the robotics and these autonomous vehicles, and you mentioned also that you do still have manual override in all of this. How much? What was the biggest challenge for you when I look at all these autonomous physical assets, including that concrete mover? What was the biggest either engineering or implementation challenge for you in bringing something like this onto the tarmac or the road, as it were?
Well, thank you for your question, Sang. By the way, I want to congratulate the last speaker, Gustav. I mean, it's really amazing what you do. I would like to invite you because we have a startup called OASA, started by a few professors of ours. It's an NGO. I'm sitting on the board. We look into space economy in Hong Kong for a couple of years now, and we made progress. We located in Cyberport and Hong Kong University, and we mainly train students. And at the moment, we have different courses. We made a little chipset, satellites, so on and so forth. Again, welcome that. I would like to speak, see whether we can find a time to talk. You share your information, your knowledge with our community. That would be great. I thank you for that. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Rosana. Okay,
fantastic. I'm going back to your question, Sang. Again, thank you for that. I would say the autonomous vehicle is one thing. I'm trying to commercialize it because at the moment in Hong Kong, we're not allowed to charge you. For instance, if you sit on my right, the autonomous vehicle, you will be the participant. I cannot charge you any money at all. But hopefully we can pass electrical, then we can start charging, then we can commercialize it. But I believe that's the future. So at the moment, I'm trying to plan a fleet management from Science Park all the way to all these residential. So I'm getting that I'm sorting it out. Hopefully we can cater for the market. I think that's easier. But when it comes to robotic, I found that's very hard because whatever we do is customized for certain needs. And that customization, it takes a lot of time and engineering effort and testing and commissioning. And again, how many can you sell? Not many. And you need, after you commercialize, you develop all the different robotics based on our base palette and build different things on top. But when you commercialize it, you need to manufacture in a manufactured manner. And who can customize the line, the production line, to make robotics like that? So at the moment, for us, it's rather expensive. It's rather man-made. So that's the reason why it's very hard to commercialize robots, as far as I'm concerned. But if you leverage our technology, then apply it to enhance my core businesses, and that is feasible. So this is the sort of formula I'm using right now.
Right.
Again, the other thing I want to share with everyone is that Hong Kong, our positioning is basically green finance and digital asset, and also we have 18A and 18C is all about putting a company listed in those high-tech, AI, autonomous vehicle, all this without profit. So all this stuff is we're getting, besides being a unicorn, those are more alternatives for the innovation technology community to get funding. So this is something that our Hong Kong government is trying to do. And we welcome people globally to do that. And obviously all this will be more actualized in a way in these coming years.
Thank you. We have participants from two countries, Bangladesh and Pakistan. By the way, just I want to mention that I am involved in the space program of Gustavo because it is a huge program for Portugal and the EU. Portugal, it has the, I think, third largest maritime jurisdiction in the world in terms of space and strategic importance. There's going to be a launch pad in Azores. But I wanted to talk about this program with MIT in particular because we're going to the big picture thing. The sensors that Gustavo talks about so far are physical, vibrational, they're used in structures and for materials. But with MIT, the focus is also on optics and spectroscopy as well. And therefore, looking at methane from space, spatial geoanalysis for agriculture, even within cities. I'm not sure if there's a healthcare angle, but Gustavo, Pakistan and Bangladesh in particular face, and I mean, I'm moving away from smart cities. This is something of national interest I've discussed with the governments, would welcome having their own small to nano satellites, geostationary, focused, also with predictive analysis of all the data we have from weather in a machine learning sense, but also processed within the nano satellite itself. Tell me what your take is, as I know you are working on this with MIT. Maybe a brief introduction on imagery.
Okay, so there is two levels that we are working. So one is that is more confidential, is satellites that will be able to analyze the status of the atmosphere in their composition at several altitudes. Okay, it seems that everyone knows everything about the atmosphere, which is not true. Most of the data that we use to design satellites right now was done in the 60s and the 70s, and typically people abandon that. So there is a huge opportunity into work with smaller satellites, highly technical solutions to be able to measure the status of the atmosphere in terms of plasma status, in terms of spectrometry, and so on and so on. This is one of the aspects. Those satellites, if they have the volume enough, can also work with what we call the normal imagery of the planet. So to be able to cover all the imagery with hyperspectral cameras that will be able to bring us the information at the normal level as we see it, but also into different levels in terms of different spectra that will give us important information about moisture in the atmosphere, about the way that the geography is evolving, and so on and so on. So this is one of the things. What is good news for, I believe, countries like Pakistan and Bangladesh is the operational burden to manage a system like this is decreasing, and the technology for launch is also decreasing the cost. So I think at this point is even possible to have satellites looking at cities, not really countries. Okay, so the level of cost involved will enable that very, very shortly. What is difficult right now is to find the slots for launch. So that's the main problem. If we have the satellite now ready, we'll take probably 9 to 1 year to have a slot to launch. Okay.
So nothing from the backyard.
No. So the backyard probably is difficult, and we all know that the problems that we have in Ukraine also have complicated a lot, because one of the launch pads that were widely used was in Kazakhstan, Baikonur, and at this moment is off limits, at least here in Europe and United States, to use that one to launch. That means that other spaceports are also coming to be upgraded and to probably help help that effort of launching, which is, well, there is a lot of satellites here in the backlog for launching. So this is true. So what is good about it is a facility or a small constellation of satellites can be managed by a normal country, let's say. The technology can be substituted when the satellites are not performing well, or when we have a good technology to substitute satellites. What I can say more about designs of satellites right now, most of the designs of the satellite are designed for 5 to 10 years of operation, 10 max, okay? So that means that we are reducing a lot some of the costs of design of a satellite to be in space for a long time. So we are controlling in terms of engineering the obsolescence of the satellite itself, okay? A lot of new technologies are already included in these new satellites that are being launched. Systems that will be able to deorbit the satellite very easily, okay, and to clean the space, which is also a big concern right now. So to keep the space sustainable. And at this point, what I believe is a space program focused on a small constellation is probably attainable for a smaller country. Just to close this, my country, Portugal, is doing that. With our neighbor Spain. We have what we call the Atlantic constellation. So will be a constellation that will orbit around the mid of Atlantic, will do its orbit on a polar orbit that passes more or less in the middle of the Atlantic, to be able to monitor that area between South America and Africa, and also that corridor between the United States and Europe. So will be focused more on the management of all the maritime area that Seng was mentioned a few minutes ago. So what I think is becoming more and more feasible. The point normally of these decisions is when to start, okay, and if we have the tech base that can be used to pick up on that type of program. I believe that the countries that you mentioned, probably they have already that tech base that will be the base and the core line, and probably with the help of international partners that can put together a very interesting space program, focus on small satellites, of course, decreasing the costs, making them more manageable, and looking to the future. So looking more into the future, and also the management of their space and problems that are recurrent, like floods, things like that. Probably that they can be very helpful in that type of situation.
Yeah,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a question from Mr. Zorgit. He is from Mongolia. I don't see him on the screen, but Barbara, I think.
Mr. Zorgit, can you mute your microphone?
Unmute your.
Unmute. Sorry.
Yeah, so that we can.
He's on the screen. Yeah.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, Mr. Zorgit.
Thank you for.
We can see you. We can see you, right?
Okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for Barbara for inviting me, and also CASS for inviting me for this webinar. My name is Zorgit Mukhchav. I'm from Mongolia, Ulaanbaatar city. I'm founder and chairman of board of Global Green Earth Foundation in Mongolia. And we are trying to help to reduce climate change, global warming, and also desertification of Mongolia in order to reduce the sand yellow dust to East Asia. So we are actually planning to establish and plant grass called switchgrass, which you probably all know, which is the base of the biofuel, bioethanol. Also, it is for reducing sandstorm and very good impact for the environment. In Ulaanbaatar city, as a smart city-wise, what I'm trying to say is we are the second coldest capital city in the world, which means we have 4 seasons, which is autumn, winter, spring, and summer. During winter, during autumn and spring cold days, about 70% of Ulaanbaatar city's households, that is about 200,000 households, live in district called Ger district. Ger means traditional Mongolian yurt, which is made by felt and wood and round shaped. Probably some of you people know it. And we have only resource of the heat is from the burning stove. So we use coal, fossil fuel, to burn in the stove to heat the Ger. That means we're reducing lots of pollutions, CO2 into the air and atmosphere. For smart city-wise, we do have running system of heat and water. If we can bring down the CO2 and greenhouse gas, if we can introduce something to individual heating systems as works as a smart way, probably controlled by your mobile phone or something like that, it will be a very good solution for people like us who lives in a 4 season in a cold winters, survive in cold winters. So the way I see is our organization, we planting switchgrass, which will be a pellet for heating, which is not fossil fuel, obviously, and we can reduce the CO2 into the atmosphere up to more than 50%, which means, it's very good for the environment and climate change, I guess. What I would like to say is we would like to develop something for the cities, especially cities like us who are in cold climate, to bring into the smart city solutions. So I'm very grateful that you guys invited me, and I'm sure there will be someone from all of you to develop something regarding reduce the fossil fuel burning during the cold winters. And there will be some solutions came up from after this meeting or something like that. And thank you very much for your attention.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Zorgit, for highlighting something very specific to Mongolia. And I'm glad you mentioned these sandstorms, because they're not only a Mongolian issue, but the sand actually affects weather patterns in the whole region around Mongolia as well. So it is what you are doing to contain this situation or to control it in Mongolia has implications in bordering countries and actually the greater geography. So thank you very much. We might have some ideas, and through Barbara, we can be in touch. We also might like you to speak about these issues at one of our future events, because we're not just about the smartest cities in the world. We want to bring some of these technologies that are already here, that we take for granted, into countries like this. I believe SACC we have a participant. Thank you once again from Pakistan, Bangladesh, sorry, who has something to ask. If I'm correct, SACC, did you
mute? Okay.
Raise your hand?
So my question is actually to Rosana. I'm very, very impressed to see how your company has actually brought the ideas into the actual scenario. So what you have done in Hong Kong, some of the ideas can be implemented in developing economies like Bangladesh. If you look at Bangladesh, it is also heavily heavily dense. Like we are a country of 170 million plus people. The capital city, we are just like Tokyo, 225 million people almost. We live in a very tiny space, or the capital Dhaka. So in my country also, the high-rising boom, the high-end skyscrapers, these concepts has not started yet. What we see in Singapore or in Hong Kong. I'm really impressed to see your modular design concept. You make the prefabricated infrastructure in other place, and you bring it, and so that you are very efficient in completing those projects. So on the other hand, Bangladesh take the environment sustainable projects for industrial purpose very seriously. You will be happy to know Bangladesh right now is the second largest textile and garments producer in the world, and after China. And we have the highest number of green factories, LEED certified green, platinum and gold standard factories in the world. In fact, if you search, you will see 7 out of 10 green factories for textiles are now in Bangladesh. But that green concept has not yet started big scale into the real estate projects. So I do see companies like you, they have a bright future for developing economies like Bangladesh. And I'm sure that you will get great success if you also consider to bring some of those technologies to Bangladesh. So I will also request you to look into the developing economy of Bangladesh seriously. So
thank you. We shall talk further offline. Sure, we'll look into that.
So that's to Rosan. And for the stratosphere, Bangladesh, the satellite, this concept is to Gasto is actually new. We just launched our own satellite from Thils, France. These are big projects, $300 million projects. But I'm very impressed to see your tiny satellite concepts, what Elon Musk is building with this Starlink. Maybe I'm still not fully fully clear what are the services these tiny satellites can bring in terms of internet or weather or mapping. So perhaps there is a market which there is a growing market for tiny satellites. What your company Stratosphere is doing. We'll also request you to check what are the solutions for the developing economies like the Southeast Asian countries. Mm-hmm. So yes, these are the 2 recommendations. No questions actually.
Thank you for your contribution, Saad. Well, there we are. I think we can have these discussions offline. We actually are breaching our time limit. It doesn't matter because it was really truly important to listen to the speakers. We've managed to rope in. It was not easy. They're all very busy people, as you all are. So I also have to thank all the invitees who have also taken time off. Those in Asia, it's going to be dinner time very soon to join our event. Let me also be clear that there are going to be follow-up opportunities. This session has been recorded and will be kept for a while. So if there are notes or any of these slides, if they mean something to you, please either contact the speakers directly, or if not, through our chamber. Happy to forward these to the respective participants. They have a very wide remit. Not only within their companies, but within the network. Rosana talked about Hong Kong and the Hong Kong government. Very privileged. I'm a keen visitor to these research centers, so I was very proud to visit Rosana at the science to the facility, Again, I encourage you all to visit these places where new technologies will be incubated. And in Portugal, I went over to Porto to visit Gustavo's R&D offering. Porto is actually a hotbed for a lot of these scientific and IT initiatives. And again, bridging these gaps is really important. So again, thank you very much to the speakers. Thank you all participants for joining. Thank you to our sponsors, and I wish you all a happy evening wherever you are, and afternoon. Good afternoon to all of you. Thank you, Barbara, for stringing it together.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you for your kind participation and excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Dr.